Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another episode of Mind Your Puckin' Business with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks. Good morning. Welcome to the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast, coming to you as always from the studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Brought to you by our good friends, both our good friends
Yes.
at the Bamboozled Project. Summer apparel coming soon.
Yes.
That's the word on the street on that one.
Absolutely.
As well as Allied Construction and Roofing. So we encourage you to check them both out.
Yes.
This is episode 80, which is hard to believe. Episode 80, if you're following on the SAP dial. We appreciate your listenership as always. You can send your questions at any time to mypbshow@gmail.com or what has become the more popular way to get to us, and we will get to this with some comments that we received this week, is through our Instagram DM page. You can find us on Instagram, Mind Your Puckin' Business. We are up there. We are usually checking it, and we do try pretty quickly to respond to your DMs and your questions.
They're sliding into the DMs, bro.
Sliding into the DMs with those Ranger questions. I tell you, man, it's a shady world we live in. You can listen to the show on Spotify, iTunes, and Facebook. Should you like to follow the camera feed and watch us, and you were in a backwards hat before, but you're not anymore. I just noticed that.
What do you like better? Backwards hat?
No, whatever.
Or is the flow good?
Dougie thinks you're always rocking it.
Thank you.
And you can watch the video feed if you want to see Dougie's hair. You can watch that on YouTube, where we are live every week, and you can always go back at your convenience and watch the full broadcast on camera at your leisure.
Or be a part of it. Put a question in the comment section. We'll answer it live.
You certainly could. And we will have a guest, I believe, in the second half of the show in about 15 or 20 minutes. When we get to that, we will introduce him. Yeah, obviously, we got to start with the Rangers. So I appreciate your patience with our day. We're usually on Tuesdays. We're not this week. Mm-hmm. That had nothing to do with the Rangers. That was me having to do something at my kid's school on Tuesday. That was you having stuff yesterday. So we are on the Thursday spot, which usually, for those that follow Undefeated Media, there's another show on this Thursday. Yes. And I feel honored to be in this slot. I just want to say that. We'll leave it at that. But anyway. So we haven't been on. We were on last Tuesday, and last Tuesday the series was 2-1 in favor of the Rangers. And I had said, we had Johnny Lazarus on, and I had said that I thought that if the Rangers won that game 4 in Tampa that night, they would be in really good shape. If they lost, all bets were off, and all bets were off. On game 4, on that Tuesday night, the Rangers just didn't show up to play and were lifeless.
Yes.
Game 5 came back to the Garden on Thursday. And even though the Rangers had a lead on a really bizarre goal by Ryan Lindgren from the corner, I never felt watching that game that they were in control. They just weren't. And going back to Saturday when you were going into game 6, now look, there is this whole thing with this team, no quit in New York. They play well with their backs against the wall. In the 3 elimination games versus Pittsburgh and the 2 versus Carolina, they played well. I get all that. But it just was a feeling that the series was not coming back to New York. And it was just kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for here, and I'm not the world's best linguist, although that is a big word for me.
Nice.
But it was kind of fitting that the Rangers, when they give you hope and Vetrano scores to tie the game in the third period, that like 20 or 30 seconds later, Stamkos comes down. He's left open in the middle, comes in and scores what is eventually the game winner, and is also the goal that puts the nail in the coffin in the Ranger season. So if you listen to us, and you're listening to us right now, and we appreciate your listenership, trust me, we do. You all are awesome. I am going to make an assumption.
Okay.
And then I'm going to say something that I think you're going to look at me and be like, well, why are you even saying that if you're making this assumption? You ready? Okay. If you're listening to us, if you subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you listen to us,
yes,
I'm going to make a guess that you are probably a New York Ranger fan or a hockey fan, one of the two. Maybe you're not. Maybe you know me or you from elsewhere and you just like to laugh at what idiots we are. That's fair too. But I'm going to assume that you know something about hockey.
Fair enough.
I'm going to tell you now where this whole series went wrong, and then you're going to be like, well, obviously, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Please.
A week ago Sunday,
the
Rangers were up 2-0 in the series, went down to Tampa for game 3. I had told people that morning at my son's Little League game, because everyone always asks me, what's going on with the Rangers? I said, I fully expect them to lose game 3 in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
And then it will be 2-1. The Rangers in that game, if you remember, go up 2-0 on 2 goals in the second period and are looking good. Now, all of a sudden,
It was the first period, wasn't it?
No, second.
They scored the 2 power play goals.
They scored in the second.
Okay.
They scored.
Sure.
Well, they scored. It's fine. I appreciate you watching.
I thought it was the first 5 minutes. It was like 2 power. All right, but go ahead.
Zibanejad and Kreider.
All right.
They scored and they're up 2-0.
Yes.
And you're in the driver's seat at that point to go up 3-0 in the series. Where, look, I'm a Yankee fan also, so I know 3-0, 2004 with the Red Sox doesn't really mean you're done.
Mm-hmm.
But you're up 2-0 on the road, and you have a 2-0 series lead.
Yes.
And the Rangers then start taking stupid, lazy penalties, and it turned the entire series around. Even in that game, game 3, they're up 2-1 at the end of the second period. What do you do 2 minutes into a game? Trouba takes another penalty. He had 3 in that game. They tie it on the power play, and then they end up scoring the game winner with like 38 seconds left. The entire series turned on stupid penalties. Now, look, I am not surprised that Tampa won the series, right? Because if you go back to episode number 78, right, you would have heard me say in predictions that, look, I'm not a homer. I try to look at things fairly and honestly, and I think that Tampa's a better team. But I'm surprised at the way they lost, being that they were up in the series 2-0, and they had a 2-0 lead, and they still found a way to lose. So just...
I think that the Tampa Bay didn't win the series. The Rangers lost the series.
Well, that is fair. I think you can. I think you can make that argument. I think you can argue both ways. I think there are certain players on the Rangers, and we'll get into it, that just did not have really good series, and I think that hurts. And I think some of Tampa's star power, in particular, Steven Stamkos had a great series, and Vasilevsky, who responded after his game 1 disaster, which we all expected he would do. Played their stars played better than our stars. Igor didn't have a necessarily bad series. He let up 2 in game 6. He let up 2 in game 5. Look, I mean, that should be enough, you think, to win games if you're getting, but the Rangers didn't provide enough offense and
0 offense.
So it's funny that, it goes from, this is the beauty of sports, not just hockey. Right. Yeah. 2 weeks ago, the Rangers beat Carolina. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Or actually, forget it. I'll even do this. 11 days ago, they're up 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And everything in New York Ranger land is amazing, right? There's candy falling from the sky. There's money falling from the sky. Everything is great. You wear a Ranger jersey, give me a hug and Dunkin' Donuts. You have a Ranger bumper sticker that you never put on your car until they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Honk your horn at them, right? Everybody in Ranger Nation is in love. It's great, right? It's amazing. But, man, sports reminds you, it can turn quick, right? Now, all of a sudden, and we're going to get into some of this stuff in a minute, this guy, this guy sucks. He's got to get off the team. This guy's atrocious. This coach is an idiot. I mean, it's like, how did we turn so fast?
Yeah, we turned quick. I mean, but at the same time, you're up 2-0, and you can't get one more game just to make it a game 7. You can't get one more game because we have the no quit in New York. We're battling here, and you got the best goalie in the world.
Look, you're up. So you're right on that. Where if you're up in a series 2-0 and the best of the series, you should win the series.
At least go to game 7.
Take it a step further. You're up 2-0 in the series. You're up 2-0 in game 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
with the best goalie in the world, the only time they score is when he can't see the puck.
Yeah.
So 5 guys in front of the five guys. They're shooting from the blue line. 5 guys in front of me can't see the puck.
I had a good friend of mine say something to me a couple weeks ago, and I think it was it was either in the Pittsburgh or the Carolina series that resonated with me. And I was saying to him that, hey, they had a good run. This is when it looked like they were toast. I think it was the Pittsburgh series. And I said, look, you know what? They're young. And he had a good point. He goes, you know what? You never know when they're going to be back. You can't really look at that because, and he's right, at the same time, you never know with injuries. You never know what team gets hot at the right time that you're playing against 2 years from now. But, yeah, it's just amazing that everything goes from, we're all friends and everything. Anyone with a Ranger jersey is your friend and fist pump them, in the bank and all that stuff. And now all of a sudden it is just off-season mode. So
yes,
it's funny that also when a season ends, right? Did you play? I'm sure you did. I'm going to ask a question, but I'm going to assume that the answer is yes. When you
Yes.
were a kid,
Yeah.
did you play like Mario Brothers?
Super Mario
Super Mario
Brothers.
Brothers, yeah.
Yeah, and also Mario Kart.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to stick with the Mario Brothers
Okay.
example. And my wife would like that because she played that game. But do you remember where you could like jump up with Mario and then run across and warp levels? It was called.
Okay.
You know, like you would go from level 2 to
Yeah,
8.
it'd be like a secret
right?
tube you go into, and you go to another
Agreed
level.
to.
Yeah,
Yes. And all of a sudden you're in level 8. You went from 2 to 8. When the season ends, you warp speed right into the off season because instantly, like before the Rangers were eliminated on Saturday night, people are texting me, "Is this one getting re-signed?" I'm like, "Bro, relax. We're not there yet." So here's what I'm going to say. We'll get into some of the players and whatnot in a minute, but I want to say something. If you go back to the first episode we ever did, which now seems like light years ago because I feel like I've known you forever. And you go back to the first episode we did,
yes,
episode number 1, where I don't think we had tables like this, and you and I sat literally across.
We were a little closer. Corona wasn't a thing. We were a little closer.
we were a lot closer. That is absolutely true on that. And I said a term that I say on the show all the time, and that is window of opportunity, right? The Rangers are entering, I said, and I've stuck by this, a probably 5 to 7, 5 to 8 year era where if all goes according to plan, and of course the if is in parentheses, that they would have the opportunity within those 5 to 8 years to have chances, hopefully many of those years, to make deep cup runs. Going into this year, the 2021-22 season, go back to the episode we did in October with Dan Rosen right before opening night. Dan Rosen said, this team from the NHL.com said this team's goal is really to make the playoffs. And I agreed with him, right?
Yeah.
Now, here we are 8 months later, and all of a sudden we had this team didn't win a Stanley Cup. It's a failure. No, it doesn't work like that, right?
Yeah.
This is still a successful season.
True.
We even asked a guest that we had back in April, before the playoffs started, before you knew who they were playing. And we said, look, if they go into the playoffs in the first round and they get swept, whoever they play, is it a successful season? The answer is yes, it is. So we're not now going to take what happened and say, well, you know what? They lost to Tampa in the Eastern Conference Final. It's not a successful season. Yo, where did the window of opportunity go?
Yeah, I agree with you. But at the same time, getting swept in the first round, the way they lost is irritating.
Yes. It is. Absolutely.
Getting swept by a team that's better than you is irritating, but having the lead and being better than the team that you're playing.
Well, I don't know that they were better on paper than Tampa. It would be close. You could argue.
Not on paper. Their season probably better, whatever. But like we played better than them in the first 2 games. We crushed them. We played better than them in the 3rd game. And we took our foot off the gas.
But here's where I got annoyed. Again, I appreciate everyone that listens, and I appreciate everyone that interacts. I really do. And I do, like the Instagram live things that we do where people get to ask questions, and we know the story when my kids were on a couple weeks ago, yada, yada. We get all that, right? However, the amount of people on like Sunday and Monday, and even Saturday night for that matter, that are DMing the show's page, oh, the season's a waste. This guy's got to go. This guy sucks. This coach sucks. This guy, relax.
Okay.
Like, take it. I get it. I get it. You're annoyed. I'm annoyed too. Trust me. Remember, I'm a season ticket holder. Okay. I have 10 tickets to every game. So I don't like to talk about that aspect, but I'm going to say it right now. Think of the financial implications for me if there was a game 7. I have more reason to be annoyed than just being a fan.
Sure.
Right. But we got to go back to the window of opportunity here, and we got to relax. Shesterkin is not leaving the team next year. Kreider is not leaving the team next year. Zibanejad is not leaving the team. Adam Fox is not leaving the team. They're all coming back. And one of the things that I've said to my 8-year-old son, who is upset, and I don't blame him.
He want to blow up the team too?
No, he's upset. And I get this with him, is that, you know what, now there's no more hockey, right?
Yeah.
Here's the beauty of it. It's June freaking 16th. The preseason starts in 2.5 months. We're going to go on like our summer schedule here at MYPB.
Yeah.
You'll see us a couple weeks. We may disappear for a couple weeks, but you blink your eyes and we're back to preseason hockey and NFL picks. We're not that far away. Relax. It's a window of opportunity. The window didn't open for 1 year. The window opens for 5 to 7 or 8 years, right?
Mhm.
That was year one. And guess what? Like I said before, it wasn't even supposed to really be open this year. We didn't even expect it. So everyone that's going nuts and sending DMs and all this other stuff and text messages to me on Saturday, relax. Don't jump, step back from the bridge, okay? Relax. We will be, but they will be back next year. Their core will be back. Now, look, we can talk about fine-tuning stuff. We'll get to that. There'll be plenty of time in the offseason.
Yep.
We already have guests lined up in a couple weeks to talk about the offseason because the NHL free agency period begins, I believe it's Wednesday, July 13th at noon. We've got time to figure this out, okay? But if you think that the Rangers are going to sit there and say, this season sucked, let's take a bomb and drop it and blow this thing up, I don't know what planet you're living on. I really don't. I know.
No, it was very, very entertaining season. So it was a great season.
It was fine. So everyone relax. Relax. So we congratulate the Tampa Bay Lightning on winning the Eastern Conference for the third straight season. Whether you think they were the better team or not, we congratulate them because they've earned it. They go into the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, again, we're taping this episode on a Thursday, so I'm cheating because it already was game one last night in which Colorado won 4-3 in overtime, which we're going to talk to someone about in a minute. But before he joins the show, let's do this, just a general overview with the Rangers. Capo Caco on Saturday night was a healthy scratch, which for terminology, in case maybe you don't know what that means, means he was benched for the game, but he was not benched because he was injured. He was benched because it was the coach's decision. Now, there have been some reports out there. It may not have been the coach's decision. It may have come from above. Whatever, he was able to play, and he did not play. So the Capo Caco situation, and again, there will be plenty of room in the future here to talk offseason and futures, will be interesting to watch because we're going to have to see with Caco if there is any lingering effects as to why he was benched.
So we have no clue why he was benched.
Give
us the rumors. I don't care if they're not true.
Well, I've read, so I don't know the story. I've read different things from he didn't like his playing time and asked to be benched. He didn't want to play. He didn't want to get on a plane and go to Tampa. Again, I don't know what's true or not. I'm not reporting anything. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Okay.
I've heard that for some reason, Gerard Gallant wanted what's his name? Dryden Hunt, who played in his spot in the lineup. Now, why he would do that, I don't know. And I want to say something about Gerard Gallant. If you didn't like this move with Caco on Saturday night, which I didn't like either, so most people didn't like it, it didn't really make a lot of sense. There's some people that I got text from that said, well, hey, Gerard Gallant should be fired. He's in jeopardy. Let me explain something to you. This team sucked a year ago. Listen to the MYPB episodes, like maybe 30 to 50, like a year ago when David Quinn was here and it sucked. And we said, you know what? Hopefully they'll
get the Gallant bump.
There we go. The Gallant bump. There we go. That's exactly the term we used. And as we said that, he comes in, he takes the team within 2 games to the Stanley Cup Finals, and now all of a sudden Gerard Gallant's job is in jeopardy because he benched Capo Caco. Look, Michael Jordan had bad days in his day. Stephen Curry the other day in Game 5 out in San Francisco versus the Celtics. Yeah. He was 0 for 9 for 3-point land. He had a bad day. People are allowed to have a bad day. It doesn't mean they get fired. Now, look, if you're stringing together 200 consecutive bad days, that's a different story. I get it. But I just get like when I got that text, and there was an article written about it too. It wasn't even just a text. There was an article written, I want to say it was BlueShirtsForever.com, put out an article that Gallant's moves lead him open to scrutiny. There's no scrutiny with Gerard Gallant. There's just not. I mean, yeah. So I'm not really sure on that one. So, but Caco with Gallant and all that stuff that went down is going to be something that we need to look at. Kravtsov re-signed, which is interesting. Do you remember the Kravtsov situation?
I don't remember the Kravtsov situation. What's the Kravtsov situation? Wait. Before you go into that situation, wasn't there another healthy scratch that was important too, besides Caco?
There was
2 people I thought.
Well, not that would have been real newsworthy.
Okay.
So Caco, Kravtsov, beginning of the season, all of a sudden bailed to Russia. He was a young prospect, one of the many. He was the 9th pick overall in the draft back in 2019.
Oh, yeah. And then he said he didn't want to
play, benched, went to Hartford, went to Russia. He's now back and certainly sounds like he's going to play next year.
Do you want that on your team?
I would look at it this way. the risk reward. So the risk is that maybe he doesn't work. Maybe he causes problem in the locker room or something, but I'd rather take the reward potential of what he could be and figure out. And then knowing that if he doesn't work. So a comment, and I want to pull it up. I see that it's coming on the screen from Chris. And this is fair. Without Igor's performances all year, Gallant wouldn't be getting all the praises. That is true. Okay. However, I will say this, AV, Tortorella, Tom Rennie, they all got, praises for having good years, and they had Henrik Lundqvist. So, he still got the most out of Chris Kreider, who, Chris knows that I'm not the biggest fan of the contract.
Developing the kid line.
But he still did well with aside from Igor. But yes, was he carried by having the presumptive Vezina winning trophy goalie in his net? Yes, of course he did. But I'm not sure that I'm going out right now and saying to myself, look, there's a lot of interesting free agent coaches out there like Barry Trotz and Bruce Cassidy got hired yesterday out of Vegas. I'm going to sit here and take a look at him or make a phone call. I'm not. I'm content at the moment with Goran Gallant. What about you?
Yeah. No, I definitely I'm just frustrated because you got the best goalie in the world, and the only way they could score is when Igor can't see the puck. Literally, he can't see the puck. Breakaways, he's stopping everything. He's stopping unless he can't see the puck. He's stopping it, and we couldn't develop an offense. We couldn't get shots on goal. It's just frustrating because you could literally be all out offense. He gives you the ability to go out and go be on offense and forecheck more. Because you don't have to worry about him. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1 because if he sees the puck, he's going to stop it.
The Rangers in the playoffs as a whole, and you just made me think of this, and particularly in the Pittsburgh series I come back to, or the games in Carolina in the second round, did have some trouble generating offensive chances. I mean, they would give
up forechecks. They would not go. The puck would be in the offensive end. And the defender would have it, and they would just give up on it instead of going to get it, taking that extra 10 feet or 10, that extra mile to play more offense. They would go sub. And they wouldn't go for it.
Yeah. Well, very, very frustrating. Now, the other name that's going to come up. Now, I did on one of the Instagram pages I run, Rangers Trade Signings. We encourage you to check them out. That's not a cheap plug, but if you want to check them out, I ran a poll the other day, and I'm going to pull up the results of all pending New York Rangers UFA, unrestricted free agents, as to what do people want to see them do. And I found the results. We had over 1,000 people vote on each player. So we thank you for checking that out. So are you ready? So the first one, we had Ryan Strome. 82% said goodbye. 18% said resign. Now, look, I don't think there's any chance Ryan Strome is back here. Also, well, I'll say the one chance I think he'll be back. I should take that back. There have been so many memes out there created with the amount of empty nets he's missed in the playoffs. He also missed that shootout attempt with the empty net versus Detroit earlier in the year. So Ryan Strome can really only come back here, and I don't want this to happen, if he was going to take a massive pay cut. And then the other question is, and we talked about this last week, we didn't talk about it on the show last week. I'm sorry. We talked about this elsewhere on the Instagram Live I did, is if you are a believer in what you saw in Filip Chytil, and I will say something, Filip Chytil in the last 7 days was not Filip Chytil 2 weeks ago. Just saying that. But if you believe in Filip Chytil, if you're one of those people, do you slot him into your second line center? And then if you do, you really have no use for Strome. But Strome most likely is on his way out here, and he will probably get a decent amount of money from another team. For some reason, I keep hearing Dallas, but okay. So next one, Andrew Kopp, 92% want to resign. Now, I don't know if I agree with this, and I know Chris, who's watching, who is my GM expert, I think he agrees with me. I'm not sure on this one either, Kopp. I would like him to come back. The question is if you sign him, are you hurting yourself down the road with other deals? But a 92% said they want Andrew Kopp to be re-signed. Frank the Tank Vetrano, 86% people said re-sign Frank Vetrano, which I find, I guess I'm okay with it. I mean, you didn't give up a lot. Chris Drury didn't have to give up a lot from Florida to get him. But does he fit here long term? 86% of people kind of seem to think yes. Tyler Mott. So 84% said yes. I'm all for this. I thought Tyler Mott was excellent on the penalty kill. You got to remember he was also hurt for a little while. I liked him and you probably could sign him for pretty cheap. I don't think he would offer a lot, have to pay him a lot. So I'm all for re-signing Tyler Mupp. Justin Braun, who came over from Philadelphia at the trade deadline, kind of a gritty, third pair defenseman. 74% of people said goodbye, and I'm fine with that. I don't have any issue with that. The last one surprised me, and that's Kevin Rooney. 37% on a poll said we should re-sign him. 63% said goodbye. I think if you could re-sign Kevin Rooney for a low cap hit, I would have no problem with it. So, yeah. So, look, for the Rangers, there's going to be a lot of offseason decisions to make.
Yeah.
This will not be an offseason that you are going to get the Artemi Panarin, July 1st, 2019, when the free agent market opens up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be, you're not getting a star on Broadway that you haven't had yet. That's not going to happen. But there is a lot of decisions for Chris Drury to make with some of like the second, third, fourth line guys here, what to do. And you can put up Chris's comment because I see it, that yes, you can slot Hedl in the second line center. Now, Chris, who I love, is a big Philip Hedl fan.
Mm-hmm.
So, if Chris is right that you can slot Hedl into the second line center, then Ryan Strome is not on this team next year. There's no chance because what are you paying him that money for to be your third line center?
Sure.
What's Goodrow for, right? So we'll see. So the NHL Stanley Cup Finals started last night.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say just totally like how weird I can be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In the pregame, they're in the arena yesterday on the ESPN coverage, and
Mm-hmm.
Mark Messier is in the arena at the NHL Finals. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh my God, it's Mark Messier in the NHL Finals. I got really into it for stupid reasons like that. But the NHL Finals was last night, and we're going to try and bring in, why don't we see if we can bring in our guest? Let's see if it works, and that is Trevor Savage. Trevor, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. So Trevor is our official Avalanche insider, which is perfect because the NHL Stanley Cup Finals for this year features the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Colorado Avalanche. So Trevor, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It is not easy to find Avalanche fans in this area, and I know you from outside of here to say he is not a front runner. He's not someone who just in the last week said, "Oh, Colorado's in the Western Conference Final. I'm going to be a fan." This guy is bona fide, and I think he's got the shirt to prove it as it looks. So, all right, Trevor, there you go. Let me ask you this. We don't watch a ton of West Coast hockey, but we watch some. And one of the things with the Avalanche that impressed me all season and it impressed me last night is the speed that they play. They just seem to play puck coming out of the defensive end up the ice so fast. Would you agree compared to other teams that are a speed team?
Yeah, that's one of what I think they're identified as is their speed and just willingness to not quit on a puck. Like a great example is the Avs' second goal yesterday. Tampa couldn't clear it for the main reason of they were just getting like every puck they were losing, every puck battle in the corner. Then they ended up turning it over. They couldn't clear it again, and then that led to a goal. But it wasn't just last night. It's been all regular season. I watched all 82 regular season games. I didn't miss a single one. Like, it's just incredible how fast they are. It's not just, the big guys with Mac. It's every line, all four, even the defense. They're just coming at you in waves. They will keep you in your zone, make line changes on you. Like, it's just every line, forechecking, speed. It's everyone.
So, we obviously were hoping that the Rangers would get through and be the opponent that the Avalanche faced. But the Rangers all year seem to struggle, in particular the regular season games versus Carolina, with that style of the opponent, right? They forecheck you to death. They keep the puck in your zone. The Rangers, I really do believe, would have struggled. And that maybe makes me feel a little bit better that they're not in the finals. Maybe that's how I kind of like sugarcoat it to make myself feel better. A name you hear all the time, and I think he's totally worthy of what you hear, is Cale Makar. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. He came from UMass. I remember following him in UMass because I went to BU, so I follow a little bit of Hockey East in college hockey. And I remember him being good, but not this level. Would you put him up there as best defenseman in the league? Where would you rate him?
It's hard because this is a great matchup between Hedman and Makar. And a lot of people think Hedman's the best, and then you have people that think Foxy is the best. It's hard because like all three of them play different games. You know, Kale is more like he could do pretty much everything. He could score. I forget how many regular season goals he had. I think it was somewhere in the 20s. Fox is more of a not stay at home D, but he's really good on defense. And then Hedman is just, I don't really know how to describe Hedman. He's really good, but I know Kale himself doesn't describe himself as the best defenseman in the league, but I certainly think there's a lot of aspects that he does that he deserves to be the best defenseman.
So Nathan McKinnon, obviously, I mean, all world talent, worthy of the number one pick years ago when he was drafted. I've always found that there's always people that don't put him in the realm of McDavid. They don't put him in the realm of Crosby. They put him maybe in 1B. If those guys are 1A, they put McKinnon in 1B. Is that fair, or should he be in a 1A group?
It's hard because when people look at these star players like Matthews and McDavid and Crosby, the first thing they look at is their numbers from the regular season. And you had McDavid with 100-plus points this year. How many points last year? Mac has never had a 100-point season. He's never – I think he's played one full 82-game season. So it's hard to determine, like, that number-wise. But the stuff he does in the playoffs is just, like, it's crazy. Right now he's third all-time in points per games at 1.36, I believe. So, yeah, I definitely think he should be considered with McDavid and all those other guys.
So in the Western Conference Finals versus Edmonton, and I had that series going 7, so I'm still kind of shocked that was a sweep. I mean, I'm beyond shocked, but good for you. I mean, that's impressive. Your goaltender Darcy Kemper gets hurt in Game 1. Wasn't sure if he was coming back. He did play last night. He seemed okay in the 4-3 overtime win. If I'm doing analysis, I would look at the goaltending and I would say that's a massive advantage for Tampa with Vasilevsky in the other net. Do you think, I mean, obviously they're up 1-0 in the series, but you still got a way to go. Do you think that the Avalanche can win the series even with what I would say is a goaltending advantage for the other side?
Yeah, what really worried me is watching the Rangers series and seeing when Tampa went down Game 1, there's obviously the stat Vasi is 17-0 after following a loss in the playoffs, and then that ended. So, like, you start to think, okay, he's human, he's beatable, like, things happen. I was a little worried to play Igor because I didn't know whoever came out of that series is heavily relying on the goalie. But it's just so hard with Vasi because he's so good. And last night you see the first goal by Landy. That was a shot by Mikko that snuck underneath his arm and it crawled in. And then the second goal was the turnover by Tampa. And then Val scored to make it 2-0. And then the third goal came from – I'm blanking right now.
Well, that was on the 5-on-3, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was on the 5-on-3 from Arturi Lehkonen, set up by Mikko. So,
which the way also they on that 5-on-3, and granted, I think it was 1:33. It was a long 5-on-3. The puck movement and the speed that they moved the puck, Tampa couldn't even get it out, and they had a couple chances to get it out and couldn't. I mean, the speed that the blue line of the Avalanche with Makar, it's just, I mean, it really is something. So. All right, let me put you on the spot. Well, actually, we have a question coming in. If anyone says McKinnon is a 1B, they are a clown. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with Chris on that. I mean, he's up there for sure. So let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot for your last question. And you have a little bit of a head start because you know the series is 1-0. But as the Rangers proved, whoever wins Game 1 in series doesn't always win the series. What is the final outcome of the Stanley Cup Finals?
Oh, I still think it's going to go 7. Tampa just won 2 cups. They're not going to fall down, roll over, and quit. So Game 2, there's going to be some adjustments by them. it's 2-day break instead of one, so they're going to practice more things than others. Just how St. Louis did against us. They practiced, they changed things. We lost game 2. So yeah, I think it's going to go 7, and I think we're going to win in 7, but it's going to be a fun ride to the finish because like last night, the whole third period felt like an overtime. Whoever scored that next goal was going to end up winning. So yeah, I'm sticking with 7 as in 7.
Well, if you are right, it will prove what they always say, that the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win in sports. They will make you earn it, right? If you
Yeah.
have to knock out the 2-time defending champions in 7 games in an intense series, you know what? At that point, you will have earned it. Well, Trevor, thank you for joining us. Come back and see us again. We'll have you back on maybe after the finals. Hopefully,
Thank
it will
you.
be happiness for you. That is Trevor Savage, our Avalanche insider here on the Mind Your Puck and Business program.
Nice.
Yeah. What do you think? Do you have a well? I mean,
So-
before I ask your prediction,
Yeah.
do you have a rooting interest?
So, I'm still ticked off about Tampa Bay, so I want the Avalanche to win.
You're
Screw
like
their
my-
dynasty.
You're like my son. My son last night is like, all about the Avalanche, and that's the reason why.
And I'm a little ticked because all this time they've been saying that the finals were going to start June 18th.
Well, it would have been game. So yes, you're right. Game 1 would have been
Yeah.
June 18th if
Yeah.
the Ranger series went 7. So game
But
7.
there was marketing material, there was commercials, they were
So
promoting
you-
that day. So I had that day written on my calendar. I didn't know there was a game 1 last night. That's
And you woke
It's
up.
not fair.
You woke up.
I was there right when you said right when you said the results. I was like, what do you mean? I missed game 1.
Well, you know
I'm
what? Now
pissed.
you have a head start. You know what happened. You missed a good
Yeah.
game, 4-3.
Yeah, I want to see this.
Look, both these teams. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're a fan of either of these two teams, if you hate one of these two teams, or you don't have any opinion of these two teams,
Yeah.
which probably a lot of people don't, it's very good hockey because there's just you
Yeah.
have Tampa obviously, and they're coached so well. You have McKinnon, you have McCarr,
Yeah.
even Landeskog. I mean, you've got a lot of guys that are just exciting
I'm
to watch.
scouting out for next year again. I get my scouting report.
You are. And like I said to my son, for the Ranger fans that are out there and, upset about it, it is a very short off season. When you play hockey into mid-June, there is not much of an off season. If the NHL season starts back in like a normal, calendar without
Mhm.
Corona, it would start normally like October 5th to the 10th, meaning preseason hockey starts normally around September 20th at the Garden. It's 3 months away. It's not that long.
True. Very
Free
true.
agency starts.
But the fun stuff is the playoffs, baby. The fun stuff.
Yeah,
the
but
fun,
you've got to
the
earn.
entertaining.
But you've got to
grind.
earn your place in the playoffs with those
True.
82 games. And free agency for the Rangers is less than 4 weeks away, or for every team really,
Yes.
for that matter. And that is on July 13th at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, if you're a Ranger fan and you think you're going to get something like a Panarin, like something massive new toy, shiny new car is coming to Broadway, this is not the off season where that is going to happen.
True.
Unless, you sat there and you said maybe you're packaging some people together to get a second line center. Okay. I mean, I'm not sure that's the road they're going to go, but it's not going to be, free agency. You're not going to be sitting there on July 13th waiting for some big name to declare he's coming to Broadway.
We just need some offense.
Yeah,
need some offense.
the team. It will be. There's definitely decisions within the team as well that are going to be interesting next year. Like where's Lafreniere playing? If Strome leaves, who's taking the second line center? Is Panarin still on the wing for that new center? There really is a lot of questions, and you're going to get clarity on some of the answers pretty quick because again, free agency is not that far away. It's 27 days away. So we will see. So when they lost Saturday night, were you watching?
Yeah.
Were you
I
annoyed?
watched everything.
Were
I was
you-
very
You
annoyed.
were annoyed.
I was very, very annoyed. You can't win one. They won 4 games in a row. You couldn't get one of those. They won 4 games in a row. Your goalie stops everything unless he can't see the puck, bro. Unless he can't see the puck. Why are you letting 4 people stand in front of him? Push those guys out of the way, and you attack, relentless attack on offense because your goalie is going to stop everything unless he can't see the puck.
So that is true in Game 5. The game at the Garden. The first and the tying goal in the second period, as well as the
Mhm.
winner late in the third was
Yeah.
through a screen. I mean, look, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if that was part of Tampa's game plan offensively, just like in the Pittsburgh series. The Penguin game plan clearly was get traffic in front of the net and jam a rebound.
Yeah.
They kept scoring these dirty goals right in front of Igor,
Yeah.
where there's nothing he can do.
Yeah.
Carolina, as we talked about with Johnny Lazarus last week, didn't really have the personnel to play that style game, and maybe that benefited the Rangers. So
Literally, your two forwards should be in forechecking, and then just sub out unless you're tired. They would throw it in the zone and they would sub out.
Well, the good news, Dougie Sticks, like I said, it's coming soon. So, couple
3-on-2s, 2-on-1 shouldn't scare you.
maybe next year, if the people get their wish that don't like Gerard Gallant right now, maybe they'll hire you.
That's all right.
Yeah, you're taking.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
We'll
If
see.
the offer's right.
Yeah, they have to pay a lot of money to afford a guy like you. So a couple programming notes. I
Yes.
believe next week we are off. This is where we kind of
Okay.
go into summer mode. So we'll kind of preface it.
Yeah.
I believe next week, I'm 98% sure we will not be on.
Okay.
The following week, the last week of June, we will be on.
Okay.
The first week of July, I believe we will not be on. And then we kind of will go from there. We will have certain weeks here in the summer where we're on, a couple of weeks with vacations and work trips and all that other stuff we won't be on. However, we will be back full throttle in time, of course, for the
Mhm.
NFL season, because that is another thing
Yeah.
that now is not that far away. Preseason camps for the NFL always start the second half of July, which is also, 4 or 5 weeks away.
Mm.
So we're slowly creeping back, believe it or not, to football time.
Yeah.
So we will, of course, be back for that. We will be doing the weekly picks again. I've been asked from some people if we're going to be doing that again this year, of course, which the answer is, of course. We've had 2 winning years. We're not going to retire on a high, although we
Yeah.
could go out on a top.
We got to
but
make
we're
that
not.
money.
We're going to try to continue our good pace with that. And then what was the other thing we got asked? Oh, we did put a poll. I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this was last week or the week before, but I don't think we talked about it.
What's up?
Should the Mind Your Puck and Business program start doing food reviews, like going in the tri-state area to
Yeah.
some restaurants?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I was kind of hoping maybe the other way. I think it was like 89% said yes, 11% said no.
Yeah.
So at some point in the summer, maybe we will look into that a little bit and try and
Absolutely.
and get that
100%. 100%. And also we can go into so many different restaurants that are around here. TS Ma's right down the street. We could also do like tailgating foods and stuff like that. Or like the
Okay.
college dishes. Those college places where they just like mash everything on
Yes.
together. Like,
Well, yeah,
whatever
the
those-
micro fridge in the dorm. Yeah, you don't have
Yeah, yeah.
Would you, if we did a tailgating special? I like
Yeah.
that idea
Yeah.
because I also like to eat, as we know. But if we did like a tailgating special,
Yeah.
would you be the one cooking the food? Would you be the one like
No,
smoking
no,
it?
I think it should be more of a contest. I think we
Yeah.
let's game plan it. But here's just off the top of my head. We go to a Jets game. We have 3 different caterers there, and they compete for the best tailgating dish.
We could do that.
Or we can do a series. We could do brackets and be
What-
1v1.
What would be the worst outcome there? The fact that the food might be bad, or we'd have to sit through a Jets game? What would
Hey,
taste worse?
apparently
would
the
they-
Jets made the best offseason
Yeah,
moves.
they did, and the Giants too. I was
Yeah.
joking. I shouldn't have said that.
No,
We could do that. We could do a tailgating contest, like a Mind Your Puck
Yeah.
business. I'm sure we could get people to enter. and
absolutely.
I would be more than happy to taste the food and judge. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you needed me to do it, you could. Pull my leg.
Absolutely. I think you're onto something
We
there.
can do that. We'll look at that into the fall. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Kind of a Ranger recap, if you will.
Mhm.
Not the recap we were all hoping for, but it's got to be done, and they pay us the big bucks to do it here, so that's why we do that. Thank you, as always, to the Bamboozle Project, as well as our good friends Allied Construction and Roofing. We appreciate their sponsorship, as always.
Absolutely.
If you go to the Bamboozle Project site, you have the promo code MYPB, as we always talk about. Save you
Mhm.
25%, which is always a nice little a perk
Yeah.
for going in through us. And send your questions anytime, as we always talk about, to mypbshow@gmail.com. And you can also DM us, as we talked about on our Instagram.
True.
And I won't get too annoyed when I read some of the stuff that we got. That's it for today. We appreciate it. We will most likely see you again in 2 weeks. Take care, and be well.